Good day everyone. So today we will discuss what is climate change, and at the end of this lesson you are expected to first identify the causes of climate change, the effects of climate change on the society, and lastly, how the community helps in mitigating the hazards caused by climate change. First, let's unlock what is the meaning of climate change. So, when we say climate change, it refers to the statistically significant changes in climate for a continuous period of time. So, in simpler term, when we say climate change, it refers to the shift or to the alteration of climate in a certain region or in a certain area for a long period of time. And statistically speaking, when we say climate change, it refers to the decrease or increase of temperature from what is the normal temperature that the certain area or the certain region had been experiencing. So, take for example, during dry season, here in the Philippines, we have warm climate. And if we will compare the temperature that we had been experiencing right now and going back from the previous years, the temperature is much higher compared from the previous year. So, according to our lolas and lolos, based on their experience, that during their time, the temperature isn't higher compared now. We're in at exactly 7 a.m. the energy coming from the sun that enters in our atmosphere is hindi pa siya gaanong mainit if mag-strike siya sa aton nga skin, and at exactly 3 p.m. in the afternoon wala na siya init or hindi na siya mainit. So technically, based on their experience, based on their observation, we can say that during their times, the temperature might probably range from 30 to 35 degrees Celsius, which is much lower compared now to the temperature that we had been experienced, that range from 40 to 45 degrees Celsius or much higher than that. So the shift of temperature from lower temperature to higher temperature over the years is called climate change, or the phenomenon that occurs wherein there is a change of temperature from what's the normal temperature that the certain area or that the certain region had been experienced over years is called climate change. That's why it is fearful to think that one day no one will dare to go outside because of too much heat that we had been experiencing right now. And we must be responsible enough with our actions for us to preserve, protect, and save our Mother Earth in order for us to lessen or at least to mitigate the environmental issues that we have been faced right now. Let's discuss the two primary causes of climate change. So first, we have human activities, and second, the natural causes. So let's discuss the natural causes. First is the volcanic eruptions. Volcanic eruptions are one of the natural causes of climate change. When volcanoes erupt, they emit different natural aerosols like carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, salt crystals, volcanic ash or dust, and even microorganisms like bacteria and viruses. The volcanic eruption can cause a cooling effect on the lithosphere because its emitted aerosols can block a certain percentage of solar radiation. This cooling effect can last for 1 or 2 years. Meaning to say, when the volcano erupts, it emitted gases called aerosols, and these aerosols are being accumulated in our atmosphere that are responsible in blocking a certain amount of radiation coming from the sun to enter in our atmosphere. As a result, it gives a cooling effect in our surroundings that might last more than years. When violent volcanic erupts, it releases ash particles in the stratosphere. The volcanic ashes, which have sulfur dioxide combined with water vapor, it then forms sulfuric acid and sulfurous aerosols. The sulfurous aerosols are then transported by easterly or westerly winds. Volcanoes located near the equator are more likely to cause global cooling because of the wind pattern. Volcanoes located near the north or south poles are less likely to cause cooling because of the pole wind pattern. The sulfurous aerosols are confined to the pole area. So, in short, when the volcano erupts near the equator, the aerosols are being transported across all the regions, or there is a wide dispersal of aerosol. So this is possible because of the easterly or westerly wind patterns. So these wind patterns enable the aerosols to spread across all the regions. That's why it has a wide global cooling effect. Several recorded major volcanic eruptions that causes climate change. Mount Tambora of Indonesia erupted 1816. It was considered the largest known eruption in human history. The eruption caused snowfall in the northeastern United G10E Science, Technology, and Society, 28 states, and Canada. It affected their agricultural lands, losing crops that caused food shortage and increased human mortality. The eruptions of Mount Krakatau of Indonesia in 1883 and Mount Pinatubo of the Philippines in 1991 contributed to the cold years of planet Earth. Now, let's proceed in the orbital changes. Earth's orbit can also cause climate change. This was proposed by the Milankovitch theory. The Milankovitch theory states that as the Earth travels through space around the Sun, cyclical variation in three elements of Earth-Sun geometry combine to produce variation in the amount of solar energy that reaches Earth. Now, let's discuss the three elements that have cyclic variations proposed by Milankovitch, which are the eccentricity, obliquity, and precision. So first is the eccentricity. Eccentricity is a term used to describe the shape of Earth's orbit around the Sun. The impact of the variation is a change in the amount of solar energy from perihelion around January 3 to a perihelion around July 4. The time frame for the cycle is approximately 98,000 years. So currently, Earth's eccentricity is 0.016 and there is about a 6.4% increase in insolation from July to January. The eccentricity influences seasonal differences. So when Earth is closest to the Sun, it gets more solar radiation. If the perihelion occurs during the winter is less severe. If a hemisphere has its summer while closest to the Sun, summers are relatively warm. So, meaning to say, when we say eccentricity, it refers to the changes of Earth's orbit. So, when the Earth is closest from the Sun, it is called perihelion. So, during perihelion, Earth receives more energy or more radiation. And when the Earth is farthest from the Sun, it receives less energy or less radiation. And it is called a perihelion. Next, we have obliquity. Obliquity is the variation of the tilt of Earth's axis away from the orbital plane. As the tilt changes, the seasons become more exaggerated. The obliquity changes on the cycle taking approximately 40,000 years. The more tilt means more severe seasons, warmer summers and colder winters. Less tilt means less severe seasons, colder summers, and milder winters. So, meaning to say, when we say obliquity, it refers to the tilting position of the Earth. The more it tilts means the more warmer summer and cooler winter we can experience. Less tilt means cooler summer and milder winter we can experience. And next we have precession. So precession is the change in the orientation of the Earth's rotational axis. The precession cycle takes about 19,000 to 23,000 years. Precession is caused by two factors. So first, a wobble of Earth's axis and a turning around of the elliptical orbit of Earth itself. So, obliquity affected the tilt of Earth's axis. Precession affects the direction of Earth's axis. The change in the axis location changes the dates of perihelion, closest distance from Sun, and aperihelion, farthest distance from Sun. And this increases the seasonal contrast in one hemisphere while decreasing it in the other hemisphere. So currently, Earth is closest to the Sun in the northern hemisphere winter, which makes the winters there less severe. Another consequence of precession is a shift in the celestial poles. 5,000 years ago, the North Star was Tuban in the constellation Draco. Currently, the North Star is Polaris in the constellation Ursa Major. Now, let's proceed to the carbon dioxide theory. Carbon dioxide is added when power and heat are produced by burning coal, oil, and other fossil fuels. Carbon dioxide is transparent to sunshine but not invisible to infrared radiation, leaving the ground. Carbon dioxide absorbs part of the infrared radiation in the air and returns it to the ground, keeping the air near the surface warmer than it would be if the carbon dioxide did not act like a blanket. Doubling the carbon dioxide raises the temperature by 2 degrees Celsius to 3 degrees Celsius. So in carbon dioxide theory, the greenhouse gases are being accumulated in the atmosphere. So these greenhouse gases are responsible in trapping the heat from the sun to prevent it escape in our atmosphere. So this process is called greenhouse effect. If there are too much greenhouse gases accumulated in our atmosphere, meaning to say the more heat it will trap, that will result to have a higher temperature or for us to experience severe heat.
Okay, let's proceed to human activities. Human activities contribute to climate change. The largest known contribution coming from burning of fossil fuels, which releases carbon dioxide gas into the atmosphere. Greenhouse gases and aerosols affect climate by altering incoming solar radiation and outgoing infrared or thermal radiation that are part of Earth's energy balance. Changing the atmospheric abundance or properties of these gases and particles can lead to a warming or cooling of climate system. Yes, we can't deny the fact that human activities can contribute to a climate change. Like for example, largest contribution sa climate change is ang pag-burning of fossil fuel nga nag-release siya sa carbon dioxide into the air that can lead to a climate change. So, ang mga human actions like nga nag-affect sa climate is ang mga greenhouse gas kag ang aerosols nang it can affect by changing how much our solar energy enters and how much the heat leaves the earth. So through changes of the amount or properties of the gas and particles, it can either warm or cool our climate. So, since the start of the industrial era, about 1750, in the overall effect of human activities on climate has been a warming influence. So, sang nag-start gid ang industrial era sang 1750, ang human activities gid ya ang mainly nga cause sang kun nga mainit ang aton nga earth. So the impact of human on climate during this era greatly exceed that due to known changes in natural processes such as solar changes and volcanic eruption. So, ang impact niya sang human activities on the climate is very much greater gid niya. Lain din siya ya sang una nga factors like ang solar variation and volcanic eruption. Di ba sang una, kung mga 7 a.m. ya sang aga, pwede ka pa ya kapainit. Unlike subong ya nga 7 a.m. pa lang ya, pwede na gid kainit. We have here the four principle of greenhouse gases. So first, we have carbon dioxide or CO2, methane or CH4, nitrous oxide or N2O, and halocarbons. So first, we have here carbon dioxide or CO2. So ang carbon dioxide, ito ang pinakapangkaraniwang greenhouse gases na nagmumula sa pagsunog ng fossil fuel tulad ng coal, oil, and natural gas. Next is ang methane. Ang methane naman ay nagmula sa mga natural sources tulad ng wetlands at mga livestock, pati na rin sa landfill sites at natural gas production. Next is nitrous oxide or N2O, or ang nitrous oxide siya naghalin sa mga agricultural activities, fossil fuel combustion at industrial processes. Next is halocarbons. Ang halocarbons naman ay karaniwang galing sa mga industrial processes at mga tao. So kabilang na dito ang mga chemical nga ginagamit na sa refrigeration, mga air conditioning, and mga aerosols spray. The greenhouse gases mentioned are natural gases. However, the high levels of these gases in the atmosphere contribute to greenhouse effect. The increasing amount of these gases is due to human activities. The high level of carbon dioxide comes from fossil fuel used in transportation and the building, heating, cooling, and manufacture of cement and other goods. Deforestation releases carbon dioxide and reduces its uptake by plants. High methane emissions are related to agriculture, natural gas distribution, and landfills. High nitrous oxide is also emitted by human activities such as fertilizer use and fossil fuel burning. Halocarbon gas concentrations have increased primarily due to human activities. Principal halocarbons include the chlorofluorocarbons, example CFC11 and CFC12, which were used extensively as refrigeration agents and other industrial processes before their presence in the atmosphere was found to cause stratospheric ozone depletion. The abundance of chlorofluorocarbon gases is decreasing as a result of international regulations designed to protect the ozone layer, or according to Encyclopedia of Earth 2016. Meaning, ang greenhouse gases na gin-mention ko earlier are natural gases nga nag-exist in our atmosphere. So, however, the high levels of these gases caused by human activities like ang pag-burn sang fossil fuels and deforestation that lead to greenhouse effect. And this effect, nagatrap siya sang heat in the Earth's atmosphere kag nagakause siya sang global warming. Ozone is another greenhouse gas that is continually produced and destroyed in the atmosphere by chemical reactions. In the troposphere, human activities have increased ozone through the release of gases such as carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, and nitrogen oxide, which chemically react to produce ozone. Meaning, ang ozone, isa ni siya ka gas sa aton atmosphere nga nagaprotect through ultraviolet radiation coming from the sun. Kag kung makita naton ni siya sa lower parts ng atmosphere or ginatawag naton nga troposphere, maaari itong maging isang greenhouse gas nga that can cause nga magwarm ang aton nga earth. Kag kung madugangan pagid kini siya. Halocarbons released by human activities destroy ozone in the stratosphere and have caused the ozone hole over Antarctica. While water vapor is the most abundant and important greenhouse gas in the atmosphere, human activities have only a small direct influence on the amount of atmospheric water vapor. Indirectly, humans have the potential to affect water vapor substantially by changing climate change. Meaning, human activities release halocarbons that harm the ozone layer, leading to the ozone hole over Antarctica. So, water vapor is the most abundant greenhouse gas, but human activities have a minimal direct impact on its level. However, human actions can indirectly influence water vapor by changing the climate, which can have a significant effects on the environment. For example, a warmer atmosphere contains more water vapor. Human activities also influence water vapor through CH4 emissions because CH4 undergoes chemical destruction in the stratosphere, producing a small amount of water vapor and aerosols. The small particles present in the atmosphere with widely varying size, concentration, and chemical composition. Some aerosols are emitted directly into the atmosphere while others are formed from emitted compounds. Meaning, when the atmosphere is warmer, it holds more water vapor. Human activities like CH4 emissions also affect water vapor. So, CH4 undergoes chemical changes in the stratospheres that create a bit of water vapor and a tiny particles that is called aerosols. So these aerosols come in different sizes, concentration, and composition. So some aerosols are released directly, release siya direct into the air, and while others from the compound that are emitted. And lastly, aerosols contain both naturally occurring compounds and those emitted as a result of human activities. Fossil fuel and biomass burning have increased aerosols containing sulfur compounds, organic compounds, and black carbon or soot. Human activities such as surface mining and industrial processes have increased dust in the atmosphere, according to IPCC 2007. Meaning, aerosols are particles in the air that contain natural and human-made substances. So, human activities like burning fossil fuels and biomass, it releases aerosols with sulfur compounds, organic compounds, and black carbon or soot. So, industrial processes and surface mining also contribute to dust in the atmosphere. So, these aerosols have a various impacts on air quality, climate, and sa health. On September 16, 1986, an international treaty was adopted. It is called the Montreal Protocol. The treaty aimed to regulate the production and the use of chemicals that contribute to ozone layer depletion, according to Britannica 2017. So, in simple terms, the Montreal Protocol is an international agreement that is adopted sang September 16, 1986. Kag ang iya nga main goal is to control the production and the use of chemicals that harm the ozone layer. and protecting the Earth's atmosphere from depletion.
Good afternoon, everyone. Now let us proceed to the effects of climate change on society. Climate change could cause severe effects on all life forms around our planet. It directly affects the basic elements of people's lives like water, food, health, use of land, and the environment. With the average global temperature predicted to rise by 2 to 3 degrees Celsius within the next 50 years, glaciers will continue to melt faster. Melting glaciers will increase flood during the wet season and strongly reduce dry season water supplies to 1/6 of the world's population, predominantly in the Indian subcontinent, parts of China, and the Andes in South America. Okay, so one of the effects of climate change is the melting of glaciers. Okay, so these glaciers, they serve as the storage of water during the wet season and gradually release it during the dry season. So the tendency is that when the water or during the wet season, there is a result of flooding or increase of sea levels or rising of sea levels, and during the dry season there is a water shortages. Okay, so the above mentioned countries are glaciers dependent, meaning diri sila nagakuha sang ilang supply some water sa glaciers during the dry season. Specifically, just like for example, sa ilang mga drinking waters, mga waters for their crops and agriculture, and their hydroelectric supply. Declining crop yields due to drought, especially in Africa, are likely to leave hundreds or millions without the ability to produce or purchase sufficient food. At mid to high latitude, crop yields may increase for moderate temperature, rises 2 to 3 degrees Celsius, but then decline with greater amounts of warming. Okay, another effect of climate change is the declining of crop yields due to drought. Okay, so since there is a rise in temperature, of course, there will be shortages in water. Okay, so these shortages in water will result to drought. Okay, so since there is may namatabo nga drought, meaning hindi enough or insufficient ang ating production of crops and agriculture, meaning there is a insufficient food production, which will result nga mas damo ang family or people ang magutuman due sa drought. Ocean acidification, a direct result of rising carbon dioxide levels, will have major effects on marine ecosystems, with possible adverse consequences on fish stocks, according to Stern 2007. Now let's proceed to another effect of climate change, which is the ocean acidification. Okay, so when this ocean acidification happens? Okay, ocean acidification, nagkakatabo ini siya when there is a absorption of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Meaning, kung i-absorb sa ating seawater, ang carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, mangin acidic ang ating seawater. Which means, ining pag-acidic sa ating seawater, maka-affect ini siya sa ating mga marine organisms. Okay, so this will sometimes kill our marine organisms, specifically ang ating mga corals, mga mollusks, and planktons. So these organisms are the habitat and food sa ating mga fishes. So ang tendency nga, maapektuhan ang ating mga fishes population tungod kay wala na sila sang enough nga makaon or maistaran. Climate change will increase worldwide deaths from malnutrition and heat stress. Vector-borne diseases such as malaria and dengue fever could have more widespread if effective control measures are not in place. Rising sea levels may result in more flooded areas each year with a warming of 3 to 4 degrees Celsius. There will be serious risk and increasing pressures for coastal protection, according to Stern 2007. Now let us proceed to another effect of our climate change, which is the climate change will increase worldwide deaths from malnutrition and heat stress. Also, it will also result to vector-borne diseases such as malaria, and ecosystems will be particularly vulnerable to climate change, with one study estimating that around 15 to 40% of species face extinction with 2 degrees Celsius warming. The consequences of climate change will become disproportionately more damaging with increased warming. Another effect of climate change is that ecosystems will be particularly vulnerable to climate change. So meaning there is a danger in our ecosystem that will result to species extinction. Another effect of climate change is that it will lead to large-scale changes such as regional disruption or the disruption among ecosystems and um, houses or areas. Another is the migration of species or persons from one place to another, and the conflict. Well, it will also affect the sudden shifts in weather patterns like monsoon and El Nino. So even today, mabatsagan ka na ang effect sa climate change or effects ng El Nino. And another one is the water availability and flooding during the wet season. So thank you for listening, guys. I hope you have taken something from my report. So that's all. Thank you so much and God bless.